Hi everyone, and welcome to our latest video interview with Imaging and Machine Vision Europe. I'm delighted today to be joined by Alexandre Cottereau, Head of Product and Marketing at Effilux. Welcome, thank you for joining me.
Hi, Kitty. Thanks for welcoming me here.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So let's start with a bit about the company background. Effilux has been around for 15 years now. Can you tell me about the company's origins, how 3 engineering students turned their graduation project into what's now a 70-person company?
Yeah, so it all started with a very nice point, which is that combining optics and lenses in a small product, these together can revolution the way machine vision is operating,
Yeah,
was operating at that time. And so based on 2 main values and core values, which are quality of products and robustness, those everything combined together would change something. And this was the idea the 3 students had in mind at the time. And so they decided to start this company. Back in the days, nobody really trusted they would be able to do something. To be fully honest, it was at the time the 2008 crisis. Also, starting a hardware company when you have no experience is pretty tough.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like a big challenge. And there were already existing competitors already on the market, so it was hard to find a differentiating factor
mm,
with the customer perspective, what people had in mind, and so all this made it very difficult. So what they decided is, okay, let's not go in front of the competitor straight, and let's try to be where they are not. And
oh
so
right,
that's
yeah,
why, yeah, they decided to develop custom product projects, and so they basically would be able to answer every needs of the long tail. So basically, the needs nobody could answer.
mm,
And making these very special products, they started growing the trust on the market, and slowly people would understand Effilux is trustworthy. And at this moment, they had to make a choice because they understand, okay, even though they are making business with the market, people are expecting standard products still.
yeah,
And so they launched what we call the Effilux, which is the first modular bar light of the market, which is now duplicated in every competitor company.
mm,
This is based on the idea of one product making a lot of configurations and a lot of possibilities, and
yeah,
it's still linked to the DNA of doing something custom, even though it's on the shelf. And so this is when the real Effilux started. So being
yeah.
able to do both customs and standard products at the same time.
Okay, amazing. And the growth you've experienced, particularly in the last couple of years, has been remarkable. So you've grown from 45 to 70 employees. What's driving this accelerated expansion, would you say?
Yeah, we had a very big expansion recently. The last 2 3 years have been crazy. Even today, during the last 25 year, we still recruited a lot of people because we have many businesses to handle.
Yeah,
We know we're pretty lucky on the market because when you look at the overall status of the market, it's pretty deceptive for some people and companies. Basically, what I see is that we're not benefiting as much as Asia of the semiconductor batteries boom. And so we're still suffering from COVID, recovery,
yeah,
and lack of investments. So it's pretty tough for everyone. But
yeah,
the luck we have is that we have part of our DNA, as I said, a big part of our business based on custom products. And so basically, we're planting a lot of seeds in very small companies that are trying to work as OEMs and create
yeah.
new innovative solutions. And sometimes on, let's say, dozens of seeds, one grow. And this is what happens. And during those hard days, we had very small companies become larger ones. And so you have
Right.
like one product moving to like 1,000. And this is a good success story.
And then 2018, there was the acquisition by CCS Group.
Yeah.
How has that impacted Effilux's development? What advantages does the partnership bring, do you think?
I think this acquisition is beneficial for both sides. On CCS side, they are buying a very uh, uh, positive company, like healthy company with very good results, a nice growth perspective. So this is on a financial aspect, it's really interesting. Also, you have very good synergy between what already exists in CCS Group and existed, like uh, companies in Europe called Effilux, CCS Europe, sorry, who were selling like CCS headquarter products in Europe,
Yeah.
already had a very good footprint in Europe and in the DACH region, where Effilux was like a bit smaller than today. So the idea is that we managed to create that kind of synergy, and we opened like really recently the Munich Light Lab,
Oh,
which is,
yeah.
yeah, this is the basically the headquarter of the DACH region for both CCS and Effilux, and so both teams
Fantastic.
are working together.
Oh, that's
So
brilliant.
this is, yeah, that's really cool, and it shows the efforts everybody's making to make it successful in Europe.
Yeah.
And then for Effilux, because it is this is very important for us, it opened us a lot of doors, which is either geographically.
Yeah.
In the US, for instance, we have CCS America. They already had a very good footprint. They knew a lot of big companies, and so when we arrived, really young, discovering everything, it was really helpful for us to enter these large companies and their R&D departments.
Mm,
And also, when you're a small company, it doesn't matter how hard you can fight. Sometimes very large company can't trust smaller ones because you have to be able to provide them products for like 10 years, and they have to be very confident on your financial stability. And this
yeah.
is what the group brings us basically.
Fantastic. Um, Moving on to kind of applications, machine vision lighting is often thought of as a kind of unsung hero,
Yeah.
if you like, of automation. Why would you say that proper lighting is so critical, and why do you think it perhaps doesn't get the recognition it deserves?
I think first, people are biased with their own eyes and perception. Basically, what they can see with ambient light, with their own eyes, they think it's going to be the same with the camera and the software behind. But we always have to consider that the camera is basically an eye that is blinking all the time, and
Mm,
that is not as much light as you can have when you keep your eyes open for let's say a few seconds. And so this is something that bias people. So you have to, yeah, it's pretty tough when you're not inside of the business.
yeah,
Um, then you have the notion of stability. As I was always take an example, if you take a photo of your garden from one photo to another, if you don't have the exact same exposition, you don't have the same view, the same angle, it doesn't matter because it just you're just looking for a good photo overall.
yeah,
But when you're, let's say, I don't know, Amazon, or you're a very big logistic company, from one picture to another of the same parcel, you need to get the exact same photo,
yeah,
because you want to inspect the same thing and be able to sort the parcel depending on their quality, their shape, and stuff. And so, yeah, I think the issues you can have with very bad light is way more important in the industry than everyday life. And
yeah,
so yes, light stability is an underrated notion as well.
yeah. Are there any, or what are the biggest, I guess, misconceptions that you encounter when talking to potential customers about the machine vision lighting requirements?
Yeah, I think, but this is something you can encounter on other fields.
Yeah.
First, I think people think they can buy lights based on theoretical values, and just by reading the data sheet, they will be able to choose it's going to be light A or B. But
Mm,
actually, when you go on the field, you have ambient light interactions, you have contrast differences. Actually, your part that should be black is actually a bit grayer because you don't
mm,
have the same surroundings and stuff. And so this is something that you can't have on your computer, and you need to either like borrow the product and test
yeah.
it on site, or you
Yeah.
ask for a feasibility in real life conditions.
Mm,
And so I think this is the main topics we have, and we have like maybe 60% of the questions asked by customers is based on theoretical values, and we always say okay, it's good to have the value, but now test it on site.
Yeah,
And so I
absolutely.
think this is the biggest misconception here.
Yeah.
I think second would be when you're designing a machine, you think about, okay, I want to produce that part. It's going to take that size. Then I need to have different materials. I need different machine tools and stuff like that, and the camera. And then you think about the light at the very last minute. But sometimes light needs a specific angle. It
Yeah.
can be a bit bulky, and so you have to consider it very early in the development stage. Else, you're going to have a lot of issues, and this is sometimes problematic we encounter, and it's
Yeah.
always too late, and we're very sad that the customer has to change everything and
Yeah.
redo it all.
Gosh, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. That's the last thing that you want to see, isn't it?
Yeah, and also sometimes people, like customers, think that you can have one light and one camera doing everything.
Wow.
And so they think the more money you put on this kind of very large system, then you won't have any issues and you will be able to do everything. But
Yeah.
unluckily, the life is not working like that. And
No.
sometimes smaller modules and cost effective are better. And most of the time, you have to buy the camera
Yeah.
separate from the light because both have to be expert products to
Yeah.
have the best performances.
Yeah. It's worth spending the time doing the
Yeah.
research and the testing beforehand to, save any problems down the line, I guess.
Yeah. Of course it is.
Absolutely. So in selling lights in machine vision, that's got to be, require quite technical knowledge. How does Effilux work on selecting the kind of best of its partners?
Yeah, like obviously you have to be very good at understanding lightings, but also you have a lot of tools in the environments and surrounding of the light that you have to understand. It's like how a machine works, how a PLC works, and give you commands to strobe the light and
Yeah.
activate lightings or camera and in what order and when, how does the camera communicate with the light. So you have plenty of notions to understand exposure time and all the theory of light as well. So this is one very strong point at Effilux. We really worked on building experts internally so they could answer all the questions. And basically, when people arrive here, they have a lot of trainings, and they
Oh,
basically
brilliant.
have to master the knowledge around lightings before going on the field and answering customers, because customers don't have time. They can't waste like 20 minutes explaining their problem. They want the
No.
solution right now.
No, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. That's really
And
good.
so we're training a lot of people internally, but because even though we're getting bigger and bigger, we're less than 100 people, so we can't handle the whole business worldwide, and
Yeah.
we're relying a lot on chosen distributors and system integrators.
Mm.
We're choosing them based on three main elements. First, they have to get a very strong technical capacities,
Yeah.
and they have to be able to answer all the customer needs, because we don't have time as well to answer their customer
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah, of course.
Also, they get to know application in general and give us feedback on, okay, I'm not just buying this bar light, I want to buy this bar light to do this, because the conception will be different and we will be able to have very tailored solutions for them.
Yeah.
And then they have to share the same values, so being proactive with customer. We have customer who we have been in touch for like 10 years. It's always worked really well, and we don't want to change this because this is our key value.
Yeah.
And transparency and stuff like that. But this is the main one, being close to customers.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely. You can understand all of their individual requirements and needs and how to work with them. Yeah. Definitely. Brilliant.
And they're growing at the same time as we do, because we're facing the challenge they have when they are like 2 or 3 employees. So when we see them with 50 employees, we don't want to be like behind them, causing them problems and stuff. We want to have the best solution for them and keep pushing with them.
Definitely. And how would you say that Effilux is set apart from competitors in terms of product development approach?
That's a good question. Yeah, because For me, the the current market is slowly shifting to a kind of commodity market. So you think
Mm,
people are all doing the same, and we have quite the same product and stuff. This is something that can come into your mind.
yeah.
What we have to keep in mind is that for us, we have three level of customization for our products. You have standard ones, so on the shelf, which are pretty close to what competition does, even
Yeah.
though we have a very larger portfolio and we can cover all the spectrum of needs. Then we are moving to a little higher level of customization, which what we call custom products. So
Mm,
basically, you take a standard one and you can change the connector side, and you can adjust the size. You can have more LEDs and stuff like that. So this is close to standard, but some customer need like to go a bit deeper.
yeah.
And then we have the very higher level, which is what we call the specific ones.
Yeah.
And we start with a blank page basically. And
Wow.
we have some R&D people, engineers working with customers on, okay, what do you want to go? What do you want to build? Do you want to try standards? And then we move to something else. And this can bring like whole new possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh,
for instance, we've worked with the space industry for space and calibration. And so we have built a LED panel to calibrate satellites before they are going to space.
wow.
See, this is the kind of, sorry for the word, but what the fuck project you can build.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's absolutely amazing. It just, the thought of just starting with a blank page,
Yeah.
it sounds a bit scary, but also really exciting as to what the possibilities are. Fantastic.
Yeah, basically you're like, okay, what is your pain point today? And how we can try to build with the technology we master a
Yeah.
better solution for you.
Yeah. Amazing. And is there a specific example that you can possibly give of how you've solved a specific customer challenge via innovative design?
Yeah, we'll take an example of machine vision because I know that most of the audience is concerned with machine vision and how you can build a concrete
Yeah, yeah,
system.
definitely.
So this story started like 15 years ago with a customer that is still a customer today that we see often and we're really proud to work with. They're called Testiaren. And so when they came at the time, they had an issue to test and control cars. So basically, they had very large factories where they had to control around 64 cars per hour.
Mm.
So it's a lot of quantity. And what they had to check was the gaps and flushness on the side of the car.
Oh, okay.
And at the time, they didn't have solutions that were accurate enough and able to handle the speed to control all those cars. And so we made a custom product, which is actually today a standard product because it created a new need on the market.
Oh,
And this is the
fantastic.
product we call Effisharp. And this is the story of the product which started 15 years ago.
Wow. That's incredible, just from a specific customer need.
Yeah. And yeah, you're building a standard ones that will be reused by other companies
Yeah.
in different fields. And you're like, how does this can work in like automotive and then body scanning? And then you're like,
Yeah.
okay.
You've mentioned previously flexibility as a core strength. How does that translate, would you say, into practical benefits for customers in the field?
I think the main interest for the customer there would be to buy one product and still have a lot of configuration behind that could be adjusted on site or a few years after, if the customer changes the configuration, then he can adapt the lights and not buy a new one. And so basically everything is pretty adaptable. I don't know if you can say adaptative, I'd say, based on the needs.
Yeah.
So to take a very easy example, you're taking one of our bar light. I'm checking here because they're right here. So the Effilux 2, you take the
Yeah.
product, you open it, you could open one cap, and then you can change the lens's position. And based on this position, you can have different beam angles, different light output power at the center of the line. And so you can really shape the lights. And then you can also add like optical elements like accessories that will either
Okay.
polarize the light or change the light capacities. Requirements will be different, but you can
Mm.
answer every needs based on one light, just changing some configurations.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Looking at kind of industries and market verticals, logistics and food and beverages markets have been quite key for you guys this past year, in terms of product developments. What's really interesting about these sectors for you?
I think first, logistic is interesting because it's a market where everything is evolving really fast. We're seeing robotics, AGVs, even conveyors. Everything is exploding, going faster. They have very high volume perspective, and they are very rigorous on what they are looking at and observing and testing and all the quality inspections they're making. So this is a new challenge for us that appeared like a few years ago already. A few years ago, we have been contacted with very large logistic players. They wanted to control barcodes at high speed on conveyors.
Okay.
And our products were good, but didn't have enough power for the exposition time of the cameras that were really short. And so the eyes were opening and closing really fast. And so to
Okay.
capture enough light, we had to increase the light output power. And at the same time, on this market, what is really important is cost effectiveness, because they have 1,000 inspection system to equip. So we really developed the Effilux LG in this notion of being cost effective, but very
Yeah.
high in terms of power. And this worked pretty well. And this year, we wanted to emphasize on this market and to renew our product portfolio. And we're happy to announce that in a few months, we will be releasing new products that will help us cover more needs in this market and answer to these needs around mobility and
Wow.
inspection on the move.
Exciting. Very
Yeah,
exciting.
really exciting.
You'll have to keep us posted.
Yeah, you have to take the.
First.
We keep you posted first, and LinkedIn and the website will be the first place where we'll be announcing it.
Very exciting. Thank you very much. So, talking about CCS earlier, you've mentioned before a joint development with your activity in the US. Are you able to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think the what is interesting is that when we arrived 15 years ago, Effilux was mainly based on European markets, and it was a lot of problematic and issues to handle with custom projects. It was like very diverse. And slowly, when we were growing, we discovered that a lot of large companies had R&D headquarters in the US and Canada as well.
Yeah.
And what was hard is that they asked for very large volumes. So you can work with a company, they're doing some testings with one or two products, and the day after, they're asking for like 1,000 products. And when you're a small company, you have to consider that production is not always very easy to expense and to hire people to handle this production volume is tough.
Yeah.
Also, they wanted to have some finance stability, reassurance, and all this together made the acquisition by CCS very interesting and sensible for what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And what is good is today we are producing more than 16,000 products a year.
Wow.
And we have a very large footprint in the US. So we're now pretty ready for the challenge. And so if ever we have in the audience OEMs from the US, they want to challenge French people, we're more open to this. And even if it's just to have like to make some testing, doing some custom developments and work together, it would be nice to have new challenges there.
Okay, brilliant. And just returning to the food and beverage industry for a second, what would you say is the kind of unique challenge that this sector has in terms of machine vision lighting?
What we really discover, but it's something you can observe in the whole world, is that world population increases, so the needs for more production will increase on food side, but also quality requirements are higher than before. With all the bio appellations and all these things that people are more convinced it's the real way to feed yourself, and they are really looking at the quality. we are really convinced that automation will help us reach that kind of standards with high-speed production.
Yeah.
So this is why we're also investing a lot of food and beverage. We think that it's going to be the future of automation. And so this is on the whole market understanding side. And I would say it's a lot of challenge on design,
Yeah.
because when you're designing for this kind of market, you have to work on several aspects. First, you cannot have components dropping on the line,
Yeah.
because you don't want to eat plastic actually,
No.
which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that's why, for instance, our latest product, bar light, so it's called Effilux 2 IP69K, so made for food and chemistry, is made blue, because there's nothing blue on the food production lines, because there's no blue
Oh yeah.
food.
Yeah. No.
And yeah, that's why we made it blue. And so whenever, if ever someday it can break because you're hitting with it with something, then you directly identify that there's a piece of part hit there, and then you can block everything.
Yeah. Wow.
Also, yeah, that's you
It
have to
seems
think
so
about even
simple,
at the
but
color. And then you have also other notion like food retention. Basically, the production line are washed every day with high pressure water and detergents. So
yeah,
your product had to be resistant to this,
of
and
course, yeah.
also have specific shapes, so there's no water retention after a few days, and it's not getting dirt and stuff like that. So it's kind of a whole story to build that kind of product.
Yeah, God, I can imagine things I hadn't even thought about. The color,
Yeah.
that's brilliant. Just yeah, the simplicity of it is what's so clever, I think.
Yeah.
So I'd love to get your take on the future outlook, like of the market. So can you share what trends you're seeing in machine vision that might shape lighting requirements over the next few years?
um, I think mobility will be one of the key aspects. So as I said, in warehouses and intralogistic, we see a lot of AGVs, robotics guidance issues, and 3D. So it's going to be all a matter of being able to analyze the situation and the positioning of a robot, let's say, with very high speed and high accuracy.
Yeah,
And at the same time, it's a matter of what we call depth of perception for light. So it's being able to see pretty far from the
yeah,
place you are. I think this will be one big point. Then you will have to. Then we will see still an increase in terms of speed of conveyors and lines. I think this is something that has been pushing for like decades. We want to produce faster and with highly reliable lines.
yeah,
So this will bring light power to another level, even though we're gonna reach a limit at some point, but
yeah.
not yet.
Not yet.
And finally, I think it's gonna be new use cases with new spectrum coverage. So in terms of light, you will shift maybe deeper in terms of infrared. We see a lot of issues around sorting systems, how you store textile, how do you sort
Okay.
clothes, how do you solve a lot of things that have to be sorted in food industry as well.
Yeah,
So this
yeah.
is going to be a big challenge, I think.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Lots of opportunities still to come then.
Yeah, yeah,
Brilliant.
recycling, all that kind of new stuff
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
that are
wow.
good for us.
Definitely. And in terms of your kind of growth trajectory, where
Yeah.
do you see Effilux in the next perhaps 3 to 5 years?
I think Effilux will be a global reference in machine vision. In general, doesn't matter. It's gonna be the whole about lighting, mostly LEDs for sure. And I think we will be also a major player in terms of logistics and food and beverage, because this is
Mm,
where we're pushing today, and we see this kind of market are really skyrocketing.
yeah,
And we have, based on our DNA, we're able to follow the trend because we're used to make custom products, and we're
yeah,
used to adapt to new markets and new people. So we may take the good path here. Also, we're exploring new markets on the space industry, space and calibration. We're doing pretty well, and we are bringing the LED there. So it's a whole technology aspect that we want to develop.
Yeah.
And we want to keep our DNA, so deep customization as key differentiator, stay close to our customer, and yeah, keep being disruptive on the market, basically.
Yeah.
And of course, international expansion, but this is all what every business wants.
Of course. But I've no doubt you guys will get there.
And yeah, and we're more and more, so we're getting better at it, and but growing in terms of numbers in companies doesn't mean that you can like we can't like keep expanding as much as we can, and we have to find the right rhythm in terms of people hired, because we want to integrate them and to train them, and we're trying to find this rhythm, and I think today we're on a good path to it.
Absolutely. And on that, and finally, is there any advice that you could give to companies that are just starting to explore machine vision applications, particularly with regards to lighting considerations?
My first advice would be don't underestimate the spot and the importance of light in your machine system. Based on all the misconceptions we've talked about, you have to understand that a light will be the center of what makes a good machine vision system. It will give you the right contrast, the right frequency of analysis, and everything that gives you a good picture of what's happening on your line, which is exactly what you want. Then we have some list of good questions you have to ask yourself before choosing your machine vision systems. I won't go into details, but it starts with what do you want to do with your light and camera? What part do you want to inspect? What is the surface property you have on your material? What kind of light exposition you have around? And all that kind of stuff. We always remind when we have the first call with the customer, we always start like this, because they are asking for very specific values, and we're coming back to basics and avoiding a lot of misconceptions based on this formula. So on this form, so don't hesitate to call us for that. Then absolutely. I think and then again, don't rely on specs only, don't rely on theoretical values. We're having free testing offerings. We can send you products, and it is all included in our DNA and the way we're working with customers. So don't hesitate. Don't try to build something on your own. It's really hard. It looks simple, but it's not. And so we're expert and here to help. So we're more than glad to help you there. It's been more than 15 years that people have been trusting Effilux, and we're not bad guys. We're happy to call, and we're easy to reach. So don't hesitate to ask.
Fantastic. Thank you ever so much, Alexandre. It's been absolute pleasure talking to you today.
Pleasure shared. Thank you very much.
Thank you.